No, this is the problem, Beth. I keep pre-scheduling the stream in the encoder. I set it up for the time and everything, and no matter what I do, it creates a new stream every time, and I have gone in and out of the software every possible way, and no matter what I do, I end up with the same frustrating result, and that is a good indication of horrible software design. So if you want to know, I don't know if it's the programming on the back end, or what I'm suspecting is it's the UX design. And but anyways, it is what it is, and I'm not going to be able to change it anytime soon. Let me just start the audio podcast, and we'll give some time for everybody to come in here. Let me do the multi-stream and give everybody a few minutes to start up. I can help you with I can't help you with horrible software. Well, I mean, that's the case, and I agree. So Beth says, I watched the Rubin interview after receiving the locals notification about the stream. Keith Wilson had to go with her. Well, of course. He's like the Canadian version of ISIS, right? Got to make sure, like, you can see her with a yellow jumpsuit and Keith Wilson with a gun behind her and say the right thing. It's just horribly corrupt. It's so bad that it makes you kind of, somebody said to me recently, it makes you want to root for the other team. They're so corrupt. And but anyways, it is what it is. Let me get this all sorted. So everybody on the main streams, good afternoon. I'm sure it's still morning somewhere. It's not morning here. I know I didn't do a stream since last weekend, just because I was on the road a lot this week, and then I had a bunch of things going on. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make the commitment to at least do secure the Saturday, although today didn't work early for whatever reason, and build out a schedule for there. Maybe I would do Sunday, but tomorrow I'm going to be on the road again. And so we'll see. I'll get this all sorted for all of you. I apologize, and let me just start the thing, and I want to welcome you all to the Freedom Coffee live stream, and to welcome you not to the best morning of your life, but the best afternoon of your life. And the Freedom Coffee live stream, just so we remember where we are, this is to celebrate the freedoms that we have and the freedoms that we fought for, and other generations had fought for, and work together on strategies to expand those freedoms in the future. And how do we do that? Just by doing one thing. Well, a couple of things. Step one is you got to get a cup of Freedom Coffee. So if you have your cup of Freedom Coffee, get it ready. And number two, every idea and successful strategy starts with a positive mindset. And many of you heard, to my peril, I guess, my focus on positivity all through the Freedom Convoy and during these streams, despite the odd rant here and there, but who doesn't love the odd rant? So good afternoon and morning to all of you, and some of you, I spoke to a lot of people from England this week. Those of you who are in the UK or the UK, good evening to all of you. That says, no apology needed. I'm starting to understand more and more the drive that truck drivers have to work all the time. Yeah, it's like one of the frustrating things that happened to me. Good morning, Megan. Sorry, good morning. Good afternoon. I was supposed to be back here earlier, and then I was supposed to be back here later. I ended up extending a day, ended up at Love's Truck Stop in Bath, New York. Yes, I know that sounds like a bathhouse or something like that, but no, that's an actual chain of truck stops, which are awesome. Special thanks to my brother and Bridget Belton, who told me stick with Love's. They're the best, and they are. And then I'm just here for a little bit, and then I got to get back on the road. So this is the time to do our little stream. So Beth says, to answer your question, yes, everything is a scripted narrative. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Why can't we just be who we were meant to be without being manipulated, coerced, or controlled? Consciously or subconsciously, very upsetting. Well, Beth, you clearly don't have much experience in politics, because that's all they do. That's reasons like people like myself who decide, I'll go into politics and help contribute and make things better. And then you learn how politics really works on the inside. And we'll talk about that moving forward. By the way, just a side note, I'm dealing with this coder with YouTube and all that stuff. Hey, Jesse, it's ironic. Have you noticed this, that YouTube is the worst search engine in the world? Like, they can't have a functional search engine. The irony of the biggest search engine company in the world, their video platform has a search engine that's just unusable. I don't know. I was trying to get some stuff on YouTube. I was doing some research, and I typed in somebody's name and the topic in the search bar, and you would think, because YouTube does an auto transcript of all of their speed, of everything there, you think you would have the search engine part of the video platform for a search engine company would yield you the returns that you query for, but that doesn't seem to happen. You know what you get? You get fake news. That's it. You get fake news articles. It's crazy. Jesse, okay, Rocky screamed for 10 minutes till I came on the TV, so here I am. Well, thank you, Rocky, and thank you for Jesse. It's nice to see that my biggest fan has a couple of wings, so that's awesome. So the theme for today, as there many times we'll do this where I'm going to try to focus on certain themes. Today's theme is everything is fake news. Everything. It's so crazy what's going on in the world, and how so many people, so many of us, are being pushed into different camps based on narratives and based on fake news. But, it is what it is. Megan says, yeah, YouTube so sucks. Did a search today, and they showed me a whole bunch of stuff not related to what I typed. Yeah, but I bet you got a bunch of legacy media sources on a topic that may be tangentially related, but not related. It's just really, you think, search engine company, isn't that supposed to what they do? And YouTube is the second largest search engine on the internet, and it's not usable. Anyways, so under the theme of everything is fake news, I want to talk a little bit before we start about ethics. Does everybody remember ethics? I remember ethics. I remember ethics classes. Ethics seems to be completely absent from all politics, unfortunately, no matter what. And I think that was the big thing I struggled with within politics. Ethics for me is vital. It really is. That, people always ask me, why am I so confident? I don't know, because I try to be ethical no matter what. I always try to focus on making the ethical decision and the truthful decision. And ethics, I think, leads down that path. And by the way, I know people will get upset at me for this, has nothing to do with religion. Nothing to do with religion. If you need religion to give you an ethical code, there's something wrong with you. It is intrinsic to who we are. We know the difference between good and bad, pain and suffering versus feeling content. We know that. That is intrinsic to the human experience, regardless of your religious affiliation. It's just I hear that hollow argument all the time, this fallacious argument that if you don't have a religious framework, how could you know what is good and what is bad? I'm like, well, if you're a psychopath, I guess you wouldn't know. But a regular human being, yeah, I think we all know. So I think that's a thread we can abandon. My personal opinion. I'm not saying I have no problem with religion. I'm just saying those value systems. Thank you. Yeah, agree, Jesse. So, and for me, the pillar of ethics is truth, which is why during the convoy I spoke truth. Since then, I've spoken truth. When I go to the Bitcoin conferences, and I talk about monetary policy and Bitcoin, I'm trying to speak about truth in fiscal policy, which is what I think we're getting to, versus stealing people's wealth under a lie. And I think we need to be as truthful as possible, because if we are truthful, then we will maintain an ethical framework. Because a house that's built on lies has no foundation. And that's not a safe place to be, in my opinion. So, the first thing we're going to talk about in Everything is Fake News. What do you think about TikTok? Any opinions on TikTok? I have, and yeah, I've had a bunch. I know people. Everybody wants me to talk about Tamara. I get that, and Dave Rubin. I'm going to get there, and I hope most of you have seen my last stream about the interview with Jordan Peterson. So I know a lot of people have watched it actually on multiple platforms. But let's first go to 50,000 views. Let's go to TikTok, right? One of the frustrations I had during the Freedom Convoy is I didn't use Facebook. That's where all the rumor spreading came out of the Big Con Canada Inc. or political convoy, shall we say. That was all disseminated over Facebook. I didn't even have Facebook anymore at that time. I've since created an account because I have no choice. Yeah, you gotta get the word out somehow. So my old Facebook account was deleted because of some people who lack ethics in Aaron O'Toole's former failed leadership of the Conservative Party. Believe it or not, they're the ones who deplatformed me because I was exposed. They do what's called brigading. Again, like I said, there's no ethics in politics. So during the convoy, one of the frustrations I had is here we were in Ottawa advocating for freedom, ending of mandates, and that we didn't want data tracking from the government. Yet so many people went out on TikTok and used TikTok. And I couldn't figure out why. I mean, what do you keep using TikTok for? The shareability is a little bit easier in TikTok, so I get that. That's a score for the functionality of the systemization of the app. So I'll give it that. But I think what people got addicted to, they got addicted to the dopamine hit of they'll put out a TikTok video and they'll get, 1,000, 2,000, 20,000, 50,000 views on that. So we've been running an experiment on one of my platforms, Not on Record, which is the legal podcast that I help produce. We're gonna have another episode tomorrow. And about 6 months ago, we set up 6 months ago, I guess, maybe longer. We set up a TikTok account, and I wanted to see how TikTok grows, the type of viewer engagement it has, and compare it, here's the important part, to the conversion rate. This is how internet marketing works, sort of thing. And what we've learned is we have some videos on our platform in TikTok that have surpassed 500,000 views. 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 views on some of the videos that we uploaded on TikTok. And you think, okay, great, that's awesome. Well, the important part is the conversion rate or the rate that it's shared. What do you think the conversion rate is? Right? What's a good conversion rate? 50%, 20%, 30%, whatever. Well, it doesn't really matter because there doesn't seem to be a conversion rate on TikTok. So you put the videos up. TikTok is known for having lots of bots, lots of artificial AI bots or pre-AI bots, let's say scripted bots. And I can't find any solid analytics or metrics that will prove that there's a significant number of people, of that 500,000 people that are watching the videos. It's all fake. They're all fake numbers. It's being viewed by bots. And I've been really uneasy with TikTok since I set up an account. I set up an account for myself as well when I started preparing for this book, Honking for Freedom. Hopefully you've all read it. HonkingForFreedom.com if you haven't. And I started, I've gone down this path, and I'm 99% sure that those views on your TikTok account, they're fake. The comments are from bots, they're scripted, and that's about it. That's about all that's going on. Obviously, not 100%. It might be 99.9000% are fake, and there might be a few people that trickle in and use it. But it's a significant number of fake audience and fake engagement. So then it got me to thinking, well, then what is the point of TikTok? I couldn't find any good points other than maybe a dopamine hit here or there. But I did find some key negative points about TikTok, the everything is fake platform. So one is it's data mining your phone. Okay, so it's going through all the information on your phone and it's trying to data mine as much as possible. Number two, did you know, this came out in an article about 6 months ago, I think, that TikTok tracks all the keystrokes in your phone. So if you're sending private email or you're typing in passwords, TikTok is recording that. So it is potentially recording your passwords. So it tracks your passwords. The other thing is, it is a psychological persuasion weapon. Scott Adams talks about this a lot. A lot of people in the behavioral science world understand that this is what it is. This is the real concern. That it's not that it's data mining. Yeah, it's doing that, but that's not the big concern. The concern is it's being used to psychologically manipulate the viewer and the recipient. That's why you see it in contrast to TikTok in China. I can't remember the name of the company. It's a different company or a different brand name, but it's the same thing. In China, the TikTok platform, it's all wholesome content. It's content about bettering your life, about starting a family, do-it-yourself stuff in the home, fixing your computer, whatever. But in the West, it's all debauchery and degeneracy. It's all gender confusion, and it's targeting your children. And TikTok, apparently, according to Adams, it's got a heat button, essentially, that they can make anything they want go viral. So anything that's anti-American, anything that is poisoning the minds of young people and turning them against their local community, their family, whatever, if they see that sort of content, they can press the heat button and ensure that it goes viral. That's a psychological weapon. And the worst part of all of it is if you're an independent, content creator and you're posting videos on Instagram or YouTube or your Facebook, whatever, and you go on to TikTok, it's all fake. So they're all fake views. That's it. It's all, most of it, the vast majority. So what's the upside in TikTok? Is there an upside? I don't know. It seems to be that it's being used by adversarials on the geopolitical stage for, as Yuri Bezmenov described it, as ideological subversion. That's the only thing I can figure out. So I still have a TikTok account. I haven't used it quite much at all. I have it on a burner phone. And I'm thinking it's just time to ditch that and get rid of it. What do you think? You think I should do that? I don't know. A lot of loudmouths who are politically captured by Big Con Canada Inc., aka Political Convoy, that are on there that spew their mouths, and that's why I kind of want to see what's going on, right? Jesse says TikTok is the McDonald's of the internet. That's an insult to McDonald's. Beth says I don't have TikTok, don't feel the need to ever get an account. Yeah, it's really kind of, I guess I don't know. I'll let you know what I do. The next thing, here's something interesting. Remember when I first started streaming? How long ago was it? 6 months ago? A while ago? Remember I talked about this idea when I very first started. I asked this question, and that question was, who sabotaged the Freedom Convoy? Remember that? Remember I started that, and I think some of the people watching thought, well, this is a crazy idea. What is Dictor on? What's he thinking about? What would he know? Oh yeah, that's right. He was there every day running the media strategy and doing interviews and trying to ensure everybody was kept calm and that the entire thing stayed peaceful. So what would he know, right? What would Dictor know? So I introduced that idea of asking who sabotaged the Freedom Convoy, and then I went a little bit later and I introduced another concept that I want to talk a little bit about now, and that was reverse hush money. Do you remember me talking about reverse hush money If you do, put it in the comments. Let me know. For those who are new, who are watching now, or watching in the future, what is reverse hush money? Actually, if you listen to the things that they said before you started the stream, you would have known. Well, yes, I guess so. So this concept, the reverse, I mean, also in the POEC, right? That's the other thing. But we're going to delve more into the POEC over the next couple of months and get right deep into it, because I think it requires a lot of explanation. Because once again, I couldn't go onto the well, it looks like a set in a stage now that it was all staged, and just do a vlog and explain everything to everybody. I had to do this Q&A scripted nonsense. It wasn't scripted on my end, but it was on theirs, to try to give them the result that they wanted, and that too was all fake. Again, today's theme, everything is fake news. Everything. It's crazy. So, reverse hush money. So what is hush money? Hush money is like what Ezra Levant from Rebel News did. Remember, he got caught with those two kids from the UK, I don't know, 3-4 years ago? And Lauren Southern touched on it on her recent documentary called The Whole Truth. Her experience working in alternative media. She goes over this in detail. And the kids they ended up recording Ezra on a hot mic, and he said point blank, here's I think it was $20,000. And he said, I couldn't believe he said that, here's the $20,000, this is your hush money. I guess that's why when Preston Manning was trying to bribe, not Preston Manning, he was in the meeting, but as soon as Preston got off the phone, and Keith Wilson, I guess, one of them that was there was Keith, it was Tamara, I know, Chad knows all the details, you can ask Chad online, but when they're trying to bribe Chad to keep quiet like they did everybody else, by the way, I never got an offer of a bribe. They gave him the $10,000, and I guess they should have said what Ezra Levant said, which is, now this is your hush money. This means you don't say anything, right? Anyways, quite funny. So that's what hush money is. You pay somebody, you buy someone off, and you pay them to keep quiet, which is, there's a lot of it that's been going on since the Convoy. And people are getting anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000, sometimes more, right? The idea of reverse hush money, that is payment to not engage with people, to not engage with other parties who might have been exposed or involved in some way to information that could be damaging. So that's a reason, for example, nobody talks to, not nobody, that's not fair. Nobody in political convoy, which is becoming an increasingly smaller and smaller group, by the way, if you notice. A lot of people have abandoned that. I guess either the checks have stopped running or people's conscience is getting the better of them. But those people, the people that have been getting the reverse hush money, that's why those people in political convoy have not been speaking with or acknowledge Bridget Belton. You can tell by who they block. So, Cockroach Wilson and what's his name, Hurt Locker Marazzo, those guys, they'll block everybody and then smear them, so the person who's being targeted doesn't see the defamatory comments because, well, they're blocked. That's a strategy. It's an intentional strategy, right? And that's where reverse hush money comes into all of this, right? So there's hush money, and then there's reverse hush money. Don't go talk to them. Take the momentum and put it on somebody else. Make somebody else the hero, not the people who actually did the hard work. That's reverse hush money. And it's funny. I overlay that to a whole bunch of things that have been operating. Jesse says, well, I haven't heard much from Tom in a while. You won't, because I nuked him in the POEC. My testimony in the POEC ended his career. So he's now just a political water boy. They throw him around from place to place, just to make him feel important from time to time. But he's done. His political career's over, right? They'll make him run in the fake party, and they'll try to prop him up for some political purpose, but that's it. He's he's irrelevant. So it's my testimony that nuked him and nuked Wilson, which is probably why you didn't see Wilson when he was on camera. They wouldn't want that to happen. Not since war campaign called them out too. Yeah, I guess so. And I'm sure they're going to be doing more, right? But take that idea of hush money, reverse hush money, and who sabotaged the convoy, because that's all in one sort of space. Okay, so we're going to take that, we're going to park that over there. Okay, now I want to move on to a related topic to bring this all together, this concept, because it's going to be related to some other stuff. What is more damaging? I talked about this in a space last week, this week, I can't even remember. What is more oh yeah, by the way, Wednesdays, Political Bitcoin Hour, that's where we were talking about this. We talk about politics for people who are into Bitcoin and, where things are converging both in the Bitcoin space and political space. And sometimes we diverge off in either direction. So Wednesdays I'm hosting with Brendan Gentili, usually around 12:30, 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock's usually like our hard start time. So, all right, we have that concept off to the side of who sabotaged the convoy, hush money, reverse hush money is over there. Okay, fine. Now, who is more damaging? And I'm going to explain this so we understand. The question is, who is more damaging? A political operative or an intelligence operative? Now, what's the difference? And this is what I was discussing this week. We always hear people get a little, well, I'll give you an example. Pat King, who I don't know, did a stream this week, and somebody sent me a little clip. Everybody's sending me so many little clips of stuff. Oh, God, I'm so running out of time. And he said something, it was, the part that I saw was weird. He said something like, yeah, I know everybody in the government is watching us. It's like, maybe, probably somebody, in related to the Crown's office, because they're prosecuting. But that's probably about it. But then he says, yeah, I know all you people from the CIA and the FBI are watching us. And I thought, it's a foreign country, brother. It's a foreign country. And it's not his fault. People have been seeded with this, right? They've been primed to have this opinion that anytime they see any sort of manipulation or injustice, they automatically react with the CIA or the FBI. Okay, so the CIA and FBI are intelligence bureaus in a foreign country. That's foreign. They're not hanging around the Freedom Convoy and our streams. Not the CIA and FBI. I would argue probably not even CSIS, but you never know, because they're not the most competent people in the world. But those are intelligence operators. But I think what we miss is the people who truly move narratives, and those are political operatives. Because when somebody works within a government institution, I mean, all of us know people who work for bureaucratic organizations. It doesn't matter if they're a teacher or if a police officer or something more. All of them have very stringent guidelines of what they can and cannot do, right? Because if not, they can be reprimanded by the bureaucracy. But you know who won't? You know who is not subjected to that same level of, I won't say scrutiny, but rigid regulations? People tied to political parties. People tied to political donors. Proxy organizations that are funded by political donors. Yes, I'm saying what you think I'm saying. It's not the intelligence operatives that deal with much of these on-the-ground grassroots protests and stuff. They're all political operatives. Look at the radical left. Look at the radical left extremism, right? You really think that's, in the U.S., the CIA that's getting involved in like local school stuff? No, they may be called in to get involved after the fact through some political contacts, but it comes from political operatives. It's really important we need to understand this. We can't always keep jumping when we see something that doesn't make sense, or we suspect and we can feel there's something not right and there's something behind it that, oh, it's the CIA, oh, it's the FBI, oh, it's the RCMP. not saying that doesn't sometimes happen and that they sometimes don't get involved. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's many, many cases. And probably in the past it was more. But now that the political class and these political proxy organizations are becoming so well funded, and they have people who have ties to billions of dollars who want to control political narratives, that's where the friction is coming from. I see your point. During the convoy, CSIS and the RCMP said no terrorism, etc., yet the government blew it up. Exactly, because it's political operatives that are doing this. It's not intelligence operatives, right? Again, they have such stringent... And look, you work for ABC, three-letter organization or police organization or whatever. You don't want to lose your job. You got a mortgage. You got kids at home, usually young kids and whatever. You're going to go stick your neck out for some, BS, fake psyop narrative, whatever. Screw that. You got a pension you're working for. But people in the political space will. And the thing that's unique to people in the political space is they often work for free. They work for promises. They work for financial boosting of their platforms. They work for boosting of their personal platforms, for clout, to be introduced to other political figures. And I guess you see this when you get involved in politics, how desperate some of these people are. It's kind of weird. So in the United States, I'm going to flip over to the United States for a second. There was something called, and shout out to Michelle Weekly, who's in Tampa, Florida. She's wonderful. She's the one who, I didn't remember the name of this act, but she's been on this for quite some time. It's called the Smith-Mund Act, M-U-N-D-T, I believe it's spelt. So what is the Smith-Mund Act? It's an act that was written into law in 1948, and it basically said that the government it is illegal for the government, three-letter agencies, all that sort of stuff, to propagandize American citizens. It's illegal for them to lie to American citizens. I didn't say that doesn't happen, just to be clear, but it is illegal in law for them to engage in that sort of activity. Until Obama essentially repealed that. And they don't call it repealing it, it's called the modernization of the Smith-Mund Act. That's what Obama did in his, I think it's second last year that he was in office. I think it was in 14 or something. I'm not sure the exact date, I don't remember. But so you can look it up. The modernization of the Smith-Mund Act, which is an act on itself. And that essentially allowed government institutions and bodies and whatever to once again conduct, I guess, psyops, propagandize, manipulate the American public and all that sort of stuff, which I guess is around the time things started to get really crazy, isn't it? Around maybe, there's a latency of a couple of years, but you see with political narratives, things have gone crazy. But I would argue, I don't think this was done for intelligence agencies. I think this is something that political organizations are involved in, and you look in the case of the United States, which we're talking about, the Democratic Party has its tentacles in everything, in financial institutions. It's really quite scary what it's linked to. And if the Smith-Mund Act was modernized, then perhaps it would allow the political organizations that are running different manipulation tactics, which we're going to talk about much more, by the way, because I've seen some of that go on in Canada. But maybe the idea is it would allow the political structure that would engage in this sort of propagandizing and manipulation to then work with three-letter agencies and intelligence agencies. Maybe it just it kind of bridged the gap a little bit. Again, they're not going to do it on their own, but if there's somebody who's of certain political influence, somebody who is elected to office, and they have, their foot soldiers on the ground, I don't know, Antifa, or what I call it, Trans-Tifa, because they're all trans. Somebody on Trans-Tifa needs some assistance, or they need help with reconnaissance, or they need help with, I don't know, surveillance, then it would allow them allow an elected official to bridge the gap between somebody in a 3-letter agency who might be, I don't know, sympathetic is not the right word, right? But it would allow them maybe to bridge that gap between the grassroots level of activism, much of which is controlled, but not all of it. It would allow them to be a conduit between them and the resources of 3-letter agencies. I don't know that's the case, but it feels right, doesn't it? It feels more logical that's how it works out, I would think. I don't know, just my assumption. And and the last point, why? What is the point of this? Why would they do this? Because as I've said in this stream many times before, when I was involved more deeply politically, the one phrase I heard all the time, and that's what I saw it happening in the convoy, I just didn't know who. Like, I know some of the people that were involved, the JCCF, which is a proxy for the Conservative Party, but like, and they can go fuck themselves. And some other organizations, they had that exact same worldview of we need to control the messaging. I heard that all the time. And Paul, control the messaging. We have to control the messaging. We have to control, which is crazy. It was like, no. Well, we can actually teach people how to message around things. No. We got to control the messaging. And I think these are all tactics to help control messaging. I think that's where this all comes from, right? That it allows the grassroots organizations to be controlled by people who are maybe of high net worth, maybe politically engaged, maybe tangentially related to issues within governance, maybe linked to NGOs, I'm not sure. And it allows them to work within the ecosystem to utilize limited resources with people within either law enforcement or surveillance organizations, let's put it that way, to ensure that they control the narrative, to ensure they control the messaging, which is what we've seen going on with political convoy, right? Everybody who's here who's been following me for a while knows what you're being exposed to is a lie. It's factually untrue, right? That there were many people that were engaged on the ground in Freedom Convoy, that it was decentralized, it was organic. The political class clearly tried to co-opt it as much as possible in many opportunities, and there was some pain in the ass named Dictor that kept blocking them from doing so. So what do? They get the minions within political parties to go and defame Dictor online, so you won't listen to Dictor, right? Because God forbid you understand how this entire mechanism works, right? And I think that's what we're dealing with. All of these things they're not all directly linked, but I think it's like many things in life. Things they go directionally in the same direction. Like the radical left, they don't all have to talk to each other. They have similar worldviews, so they go directionally in the same direction, right? Doesn't mean they don't sort of cross swords from once in a while, whatever. But I argue you see that on the opposite side of the political spectrum as well. The difference is it's a lot quieter. They're not, you see people like, what's that guy's name? The guy, the WF guy, what's his name? Klaus Schwab. That's right. He's a showboat, right? He's a car salesman and a little bit of a narcissist. On the right side of politics or on the other side of politics, I think you see similar things starting to grow, which is concerning me because, there's that expression. I remember, was it Jordan Peterson said, you don't fight identity politics with identity politics. I think it's very similar here. You don't fight political. What's the word I'm looking for? You don't fight this growing adversarial political structure that's completely unethical with behaving unethically, right? Like you don't do that. You can beat them on the facts and the merit. We just have to learn how to persuade and to message around it, which is what I was doing in the Freedom Convoy, messaging around it. However, we got to control the messaging, right? So, I must be a very bad person. I keep listening to that Dictor guy. Stay positive and keep telling the truth. Beth, you're the best. You guys are all awesome. You're all very sweet. And thank you, everybody who's in the Discord as well. And if you're not on the Discord and you want to be in the Discord, please join. Don't do what I do what I say. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they are. And it's really weird. It's really cultish, the behavior. The last topic I'm going to get into, but I want to just preface this, okay? Because I've been getting so many messages over the past week, and I want to thank everybody for all your messages. You're amazing. But first thing, no, I don't know what happened to the $5 million the JCCF raised for the legal defense of Tamara and I guess Chris Barber, those two people. The political convoy board and Tamara. I don't know what happened to that $5 million. So I've been asked many, many times. And no, I don't know why the Democracy Fund needs $300,000 now to defend Tamara while abandoning the rest of the truckers. I don't know. I know nothing about what's going on there. But it's interesting how they're passing somebody around from the JCCF, who's very close friends with Ezra Levant, to the Democracy Fund, which is Ezra Levant, that's his group, and trying to seek another $300,000. I have no idea. But I'm guessing the people who've been abandoned by all of them don't have memberships to political parties. That's just my hunch, right? Come on, Bed. You are an insider. Just kidding. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're so frustrating. Okay, anyways. Okay, the other thing I've been getting so many messages for since the last stream over the last week while I was gone was Dave Rubin interviewed Tamara Lich. And so I'll preface this because so many things have been thrown. I haven't watched it. I've told you before I haven't watched any of Tamara's stuff. I just kind of move on with my life, do my own thing, and focus on work and other projects and whatever. I'm not living in the past, right? The Freedom Convoy was an amazing moment where we all unified. We got fucked by a bunch of political parties, but that doesn't take away from the fact that we all managed to unify and focus on peace and love and unity. And we all came together for a little while. And I'm hoping that's going to be something that we can tap into again in the future. We won't right now with all these political hacks, online running bot accounts, calling me names, calling Chad names, calling Bridget names. You know, it's funny, all the people who are there doing our best, all of us are getting called names now. Isn't that funny? And all of us don't happen to be part of a political party for whatever reason. It's interesting. So anyways, so yes, somebody brought this up to me. I didn't know because, again, I haven't watched it. I only watched this one little section, which a bunch of people told me about. And thank you, Lisa, for giving me the timestamp and for letting me know where to find this. But the first thing was Dave mentioned her lawyer was in the studio. Keith Wilson was in the studio next to her. Off camera, but he was there. Why? And who paid for those plane tickets? I mean, remember, Keith Wilson couldn't afford to fly in Ottawa. They had to go to, what's it called? They had to go to Chris Guerra, who was running a fundraiser, to fleece him for $63,000 to bring in the plane of hell because he couldn't afford to drive to Ottawa for some reason. So who's paying for him to fly there? And who's paying for them to fly to Florida? Like, hey, that's my stomping ground. Anyways, it's just a joke. So yeah, I don't know. But that's the other thing I was told. But anyways, there's a part that I was told about because a lot of you have been paying attention and going down the weeds a little bit to see how much things have progressed. I'm going to read the question, or I guess the lead-in from Dave, And then I'm going to read the response. And this is something some of you picked up, and I'll just kind of comment on it. Dave asks, he said, quote, "But then this bank account thing happens. So talk about that. Do you have any sense that something like that was coming? How was that laid out, and how did that affect you?" Okay, so what he's talking about is not having our personal bank accounts frozen. They're talking about getting the GoFundMe money into a bank account, okay? Which I was told they were working on, they were having problems or whatever. Okay, fine. So Tamara responded, "Well, as we were dealing with GoFundMe, that was the initial crowdfunding platform we used, and we had an accountant come in. That would be Chad. And he was actually trying to set up the bank account for us because I had set it up to go into one of my personal bank accounts." This is the key part. And then she says, she throws TD under the bus, which, listen, I'm no lover of banks, Bitcoin. She says, "So TD was just dragging their feet. So I sensed something was up." Do you get the sense there's something more? What do you think? Do you think there's something more? Well, there's a little bit more that was omitted from that, okay? I'm going to go through this again so you understand. "But then this bank account thing happens, so talk about that. Did you have any sense that something like that was coming? How was that laid out, and how did that affect you?" And she responds, "Well, we were dealing with GoFundMe. That was the initial crowdfunding platform. And we had an accountant come in, Chad, and he was actually trying to set up the bank account for us because I had just set it up to go into one of my personal bank accounts. So TD Bank was just dragging their feet, so I sensed something was up." Do you want to know the part that she missed that's come to light, which is kind of important? And I wasn't told this either, but thank God for email communications and people taking records. According to TD Bank, Toronto Dominion Bank, they were calling her for 6 days. 6 days. So she was telling me and everybody else, "We don't have money. What are we going to do for money? What are we going to do for money?" Call your bank back. I didn't know that. They were calling her for 6 days because she had $1.4 million go into a personal account. One day I'm going to talk a little bit more about our conversation on this issue leading up to it, and me warning about being careful, AML, money coming in, different, baggage around it because it was political. The first day, just before our first press conference, I had a conversation with her, and I explained Tamara, but I'll talk about that another time. But so what she says is TD was just dragging their feet, and I sensed something was up. Now, TD Bank was calling her every day for 6 days saying, "Tamara, you can't put $1.9 million from a crowdfunding campaign on GoFundMe into your personal account. It has to be into a nonprofit account. So please set it up, call us, and set up a nonprofit account." And she didn't return their phone call. And apparently they called her every day. What's that about? Does that make sense? Does that square with what we're being told? You get the sense there's a lot more going on. It's really frustrating, right? "Well, we were dealing with the GoFundMe. That was the initial crowdfunding platform we used. We had an accountant come in, and he was actually trying to set up the bank account for us because I had set it up to go to my personal bank accounts. So TD Bank was dragging their feet, so I sensed something was up." Now, by the way, lots of credit to Diverge Media. Diverge Media is doing a lot of research on this, and they're going to have something coming out over the next few months. I don't know all the details, I just know a little bit. And this is some of Chad's information, who was the accountant she's talking about here. And needless to say, he was a little bit, perturbed when he posted about that on Facebook this week, an apology to TD Bank. But there's also something else that Diverge will go into the details for all of you. She said she had an accountant come in, and that's relevant to the conversation I had with her, which I'll explain at a later date. I didn't know until the POEC. I kept hearing, I think Tamara mentioned it in her testimony. Again, I didn't watch it because I probably would have gone crazy. That I kept hearing this term, fundraising committee. What the hell, fundraising committee? I didn't know the time. I thought maybe they're just a hyperbolic description of Chad and somebody else on, the Freedom Corp board or whatever. Well, it turns out, according to her, there was a separate fundraising committee with a certified accountant, a CPA, on that board in Alberta that she never told me about. Why? And wouldn't that CPA advise her, don't put $1.4 million from a charitable GoFundMe into your personal account? What's going on? That doesn't make sense. Like, that's the most basic rule of accounting, right? That if you're running a nonprofit, you send the money to a registered nonprofit. It doesn't go to your personal account. And that's related to the conversation that we had in the Swiss Hotel. And she knows exactly what we're talking about. Maybe she'll describe it one day. And if she doesn't, I will. Oh, the tangled web we weave. So, I couldn't believe when I saw this. And thank you again, Lisa, for sending me the link, and everybody who's been messaging me about this, saying, TD Bank dragging their feet. Like, think about it logically. You're involved in anything, a small business, a startup, something grassroots, something political, and you actively work for days at a time. Because I was on the phone with her when I had to leave for a day and a half. Ended up being 2 days because of the car accident. And when I came back, that whole time I was talking to her like every hour because they were trying to get the money released from GoFundMe and transferred. And I remember I was leaving Elmira, and she said, yeah, it looks like everything's going to work out. We just spoke to them for 45 minutes. I said, great, because the Toronto Star has taken the bait. I'm going to message around that. Great. So then the money transfers and then you just ignore it? What? I don't understand that. That doesn't make sense. That's not how humans behave. Like, with $1.4 million, when you don't have that kind of money, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot, that is significant. How do you deal with that? And just all of a sudden, okay, ignore it. You get a transfer and then your bank tries to call you. I have them on speed dial. Yeah, we just had this thing with GoFundMe. Is everything okay? Do I need to do something different? What's going on? But just ignore it for 6 days? Now, there's way more to this story that Diverge Media, I guess, is digging down deep into it. But this is just one of the kernels why you need to not just follow Diverge Media, and Greg Staley is working like a dog to go through all of this material, but share his material with everybody else, because everybody is suffering narrative poisoning. And what we're seeing is this exercise of reinforcing this narrative poison to exploit people for more money. And remember, I mentioned, it's all about ethics, right? For me, truth is ethics. And to those people who say, oh, without a religious framework, you don't have ethics. Yeah? How many people around this claim to be religious conservatives, social conservatives, who are engaged in this stuff? Like, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. And by the way, I have lots of love for Christians and religious conservatives of all faith and whatever. Like, I'm down with you. One of my 3 best friends is very, very religious. And I know the utility that religion has given him. It's given him badly needed structure. But, to say you need it to have an ethical framework, I don't know. So, and also you can follow Chad on Facebook. Chad Eros has been posting a lot of this stuff. And, Chad has very long threads on this stuff, and he can explain it because he was intimately involved with the money part. I wasn't. I was the messaging guy. All we had conversations about, because I needed to know if GoFundMe is going to release the money or not, because I need to know how to message around it. That's all I really cared, right? Me and Tamara both agreed during the convoy, we didn't care about the money. The money was for the truckers, and we got to get it to them, and that's it. So I didn't, as long as it goes to them, that's fine, right? More Beth says, more shit going on behind the scenes, more questions. Jana, hey, what's up, Jana? Says, oh my, obvious. Yeah, there's a lot of things you would think are obvious, right? But, so all of this is, I'm not going to go into all the other interviews and other inconsistencies. I'm getting messages telling me there are. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's a whole bunch because this is all scripted, which is why her lawyer, I guess, was beside her. But it's really sad to see people like Peterson and Dave Rubin being taken advantage of. I really, I got a lot of time for those guys, but feel bad for them, But what are you going to do, right? It is what it is. You can do your best to inform people. And, just to switch on to the positive framing for the end. First, I do get so many messages from people asking me, go on Jordan Peterson, and now go on Dave Rubin. Well, thank you. But firstly, I'm in a truck. I got other stuff to do in my life. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff sometime in the near future. There's some things that are in the works. But, to both of them, I have made myself available a long time ago. When this came out, I made myself available, but for whatever reason, they didn't want to, I don't know. I mean, Jordan did me the solid of doing the endorsement of the book, which I'm eternally grateful for. I sent it to Dave directly, and I don't know, they didn't have interest in it for some reason, but for some reason they have interest in this book. I'm not sure why. But anyways, so maybe that has to do with my lack of political affiliation to a political party. I'm not sure. And the other thing is, for me, I have a lot of people asking me, how are you so positive? Well, firstly, I'm not part of political convoy. I don't need to lie to people. I don't need to, go against my own moral code and ethics. I sleep like a baby because all I do is tell you guys the truth and go on with my life, right? I was not there to be part of political convoy. I was there to help all of you reunify, send positive messages to get everybody to open their arms to one another around peace, love, unity, and freedom, as I said many times, and end the mandates and end the arrive can. And I think we did that over time. And the other thing is I've learned, don't ever help political people, no matter what. Don't help them. This is what you get into. You help, and then they throw you under the bus, and then they try to smear you. Keep away from political people. Don't help them. You have to, I'm involved in politics, get away from them. Just scatter. Yana says, because you're real. I don't know. I'm just a regular dude. Whatever. And then you know what else for the positive framing? This was, I don't know. I got to thank so many of you for sending me private messages and messages of encouragement based on something I posted the other day. And I want to call it up here. If I could do three things at once, I would post it in the chat, but you can find it. If you go to my feed, you can scroll down. And I posted what is still my favorite cartoon. It's a Snoopy, or it's a Peanuts cartoon. And this was my comment around it. And this was legitimate. This was the night before. I put, last night I spent time consoling someone special going through a breast cancer scare. Every day is a gift, especially the days you help others feel truly blessed in the face of adversity. And the cartoon is of Snoopy and Charlie Brown at the end of the dock under the moonlit night. And Charlie says, "We only live once, Snoopy." And Snoopy responds, "No. We only die once. We live every day." And that's the frame of which I was trying to communicate everything from the Freedom Convoy. And if we can maintain that frame of taking care of one another, doesn't mean we don't spar once in a while and argue with each other. Of course we do. But stay within that positive frame of caring for one another. You know, this particular person who's going through this issue said to me a while ago, she said to me, I don't understand how you're so confident and how nothing bothers you. It's because I'm true to myself and I'm true to everybody else. And if I make a mistake, I'll tell you make a mistake. Okay, whatever. That's just life, right? And if you do that from that positive frame, it's not possible to be insecure with yourself, right? So anyways, you guys are all amazing. You send such nice comments. Jesse says, what? You mean Tamara isn't a trucker like Ezra says? No, Tamara's not a trucker. She's not a trucker. She's very much in over her head, and I feel pity for her. I really do. But I will never sacrifice my reputation, and maybe that's why I'm not convenient for political parties who are obsessed with controlling the message. Cheryl, love wins. 100% it does. Cheryl, I hope you're doing better since Miss Daisy passed. I know that was significant, especially having a dog for 17 years. That is really a long time, so I do feel for you. I know someone that has an incredible platform and has always been through the two of you would be great. Okay, maybe. I don't know. I got a bunch of stuff coming up in the fall. I'm going to talk more about that sometime soon. Beth says, that was a moving post, BJ, again. I'm glad you were there for your friend. Hugs to your friend. And you know what? That's why I was there for Tamara when I went to Ottawa. I was there for a friend who wanted help. I guess sometimes you learn who you should and shouldn't help. What can you do? But you're all better off for it, and I hope you are enjoying your life being maskless and no longer being oppressed by the foot of your government. So, any other questions or comments? Jesse, yeah, maybe, I'm not sure. Thanks, my friend. A lot, Lizard. Jesse, you're so funny. Can tell your dad. It was your dad that was a trucker, right? Yana, thank you. It's good to see you. We have to get together sometime soon, by the way. I'm in the city a lot right now. Like, I'm struggling just to get, a night sort of thing right now. But maybe when things come back, we can get together and see one another. There's a few people I need to see. Cheryl said, I actually said a prayer for you, my friend. Well, thank you very much. That's awesome. Jesse, dad's friend. So yeah, your dad's friend was a trucker. Okay, so I think that's it for today. I hope this doesn't upset too many people, but the truth shouldn't upset anybody, right? The truth is just the truth. And please remember Diverge Media, Greg Staley. He's working really hard, works full-time. His passion has become journalism. And this particular case, he's really concerned with, because for a number of his personal reasons. I get a sense of some of them, but I don't want to speak for him. And don't forget to share Diverge Media's content, and I guess Chad Heroes' content too, just for people who are suffering narrative poisoning. There's going to be some other big stuff that's going to be announced in the near future too, related to all of this stuff, which is going to be absolutely fascinating to see how some people respond to it. But I think it's all going to be good, because it's going to be in the pursuit of truth and freedom for all of you, and for us all to stick together. And, the noise from those who continue the smear and the yelling and calling people's names, you notice over time it gets less and less effective. There's a reason for it, because it's a lie. And that expression I love, from, I think it was Plinkett that I first heard it, your eyes might not see it, but your brain does.